This is the Nightwolf howling at you, and today we're going to take a look at the Transformers Age of the Primes Aerialbot Air Raid, part of the Combiner Superion. Interesting to note here is that he is not being listed as a studio series, even though this run of Aerialbots is supposed to be more like the cartoons. And now that has me wondering, because it's been a while, but yeah, I'm pretty sure the Stunticons also were not put out as studio series. They were, again, just part of the Legacy Collection. So on the front, we see his jet mode and his robot mode. On the one side, we see Superion, and it does look like this cannon gun thing here is probably the leftover bits of kibble from the trailer when it's used to create Superion's body. And on the other side, we see 3 of the original 13 primes, which I am pretty sure that this is actually a different set than what was on the Voyager class boxes. And finally, when we look at the back, we get to see that we have the product renders and that new, more than meets the eye, authentic logo, which anybody can recreate that. So that could be put on anything. Just saying. Let's open this sucker up. Had to try to find his feet there. The equipment he comes with are 2 pistols, or I guess you'd call them that. They are kind of ugly, to be perfectly honest with you. And they're really thin. They are, looks like blast effect compatible, however. Possibly on both ends. But I don't like this design very much at all. Okay, I don't like it at all, period. How about that? Yeah, I think it looks terrible. And they're twins. On the other hand, it is nice to see a pair of guns come with a Transformer that don't combine together to one stupid looking double gun. His tail fins are also a separate piece. And you can see actually that one side is hollow while the other side is filled in. So I guess at least you know what side of the plane they go on. So here is our robot mode. He does a pretty good job of looking like the old Transformer version. Not the old Transformer version. The cartoon version. The old Transformer version actually had the back flip up into there too, as I recall. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I kind of remember thinking the Aerialbots looked like the plane could actually pop off their back and fly on its own also when they were in robot mode. So the front folded back and then the bottom folded up and back, and that left the legs free. So it's kind of too bad they didn't do that, but I guess that's how we get this, right? Let's talk about the articulation. The wings here can fold back or be left out, depending on how you want him to look. I will want him to look like an arm or leg. I'm not sure which part he's supposed to be. Actually, I'm pretty sure he's a leg, now that I think about it. That's the funny thing about the combiners again. I feel like, I know myself I do this. I wonder about anybody else who's watching. Let me know. When you do get a set of combiners, do you display them separately, or do you display them combined in their assault mode? But his head does spin. It has a ball joint for sure. Allows us to look up and down, spin around. We get a little bit of waving sideways. There is also, his head is also on a spin area, so it can move back a little bit further, look up even higher. This front piece does not seem to pull forward, so you can't really make him look down farther. He does have a waist swivel. And the back of his underwear is black. Just saying. We have a hinge going up and down on the side. The arm can spin around. The wing kibble does kind of get in the way, so you do have to pull it out to go and complete the 360. We have a bicep cut that spins around. The elbow hinges up and down. A little bit better than 90 degrees. The hand does not twist, but due to transformation, you can give it, like, go in a bit. Although if he is holding a weapon, it is not going to move much at all. The legs hinge all the way out sideways, so he can do the splits. We can also hinge forward and backwards, allowing him to also do these splits in a very awkward manner because his big feet and his little flappy things. However, if we move his feet and flappy thing out of the... Actually, we can't really move that foot out of the way. Okay. If we transform the leg partially, we can move the little the foot out of the way. So we can get him all the way down. Not sure you'd want to really do that, but, you know. Of course, the knee does do a 90-degree angle. Does not appear as if transformation would allow us to really move that part anymore. And then, oh, we have the ankle rocker. Really glad it looks like that's pinned in place, because I think I would have just torn that off with the way I moved that. So both of his guns go into place there in his hands. You can also still attach them to the wings there. And you can also attach them back here if you really wanted to. However, that is probably where these are supposed to go. However, if you have it like that, it's going to angle the foot up. So then you'd have to spin it that way in robot mode if you're going to leave it attached there. You could also presumably hold that as one of the dumbest looking weapons ever. Although I guess it could be thrown like a kind of like a batarang if you really wanted to. So we'll put that into place there. Let's go ahead and remove those. This is one of those ones where I'm fairly certain that the design is going to be pretty simple for transformation purposes. Also, where we're going to be pretty sure that he's going to be extremely kibble heavy. There's going to be a lot of robot kibble in plane mode. Unless that hinge does something specific. Oh, that's probably... Just saying, that is probably... The head moves like that for his Assault mode, I'm betting. Otherwise, just turn the head around and move this in place to get the face out of there. No, the hands don't even go all the way in.
You know, it occurs to me as I'm editing this that I totally forgot about the articulation because I got so distracted by what was going on with the head.
I don't know why, but this is reminding me of a kangaroo for some reason. I don't know if this is a my copy thing, but these are super loose in the wing holsters. I was trying to figure out if he had a front landing gear, but apparently not. His big old feet underneath there are the only thing that holds him in place in vehicle mode, or holds him up. It's funny, too, because generally speaking, from the side, if you get rid of this part, it actually doesn't look horrible as a jet. Even from the top, it looks mostly okay, except for we do see the shoulders here, which is, I mean, it's expected, but it still looks kind of awful. And then from the bottom is like, oh, hey, it's a robot with a head turned around. The back's not horrific either. The thing is, just to point out, I believe the style of jet that he's supposed to be based on, that the back tail fins are actually supposed to be angled slightly or off center a bit more, not directly in the middle of the like this. Because, I mean, just looking at this, those back fins really do look like they're way too close together. So, and like, as I mentioned, I believe this style of jet, they're more off to the side of this, because this raised area, which would be the jet boosters. Also, that means that these two parts here, which would be the jet exhaust, is too far down too, you know? But overall, he does not look bad, as long as you don't look directly at the bottom. And I will say, I do think that this does look just a little bit weird. The way it sits like partially above the ground on like the feet. I wonder. I want to see if we can turn him into a Veritech fighter. I can't remember what the name of the mode is called. Well, he is definitely not balanced for it. But you can almost get him to look like the Veritech mid mode. That being put aside for the moment. So if you angle his body up, bend the knees in to move the center of gravity, you can kind of get him to look like the Macross Veritech fighter. Though, admittedly, in the case of the fighter, the cockpit should be facing down so the person piloting it can see forward, but he is a transformer, so he doesn't really need that. So we know that his Jasalt mode is going to be related directly to his vehicle mode. Oh, and all of a sudden, I can't transform him again. There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. So what I am thinking here, because we've got these two slots here and we've got these two pegs here, I think that he will just plug into the armature, or I mean, I know it's not the right word, but ligature, just like this. I think he'll just hook into there like that, and this will be his leg mode right there. Easy. Stop. He keeps wanting to nosedive. Something that I would like to point out on this transformer in vehicle mode, the Autobot symbols are facing forward. Something that to me looks normal, because the idea that it's coming at you, you see the Autobot symbol. For some reason, with all the Decepticons, when they do the Seekers, they have the Decepticon logo backwards, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense, because then when in robot mode, the Decepticon logo is also upside down. But that's our look at the Transformers Age of the Primes Air Raid figure. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. I do know that it sounds like there's definitely a large enough fan base or anti-fan base for this whole creating the skeletal structure from the main body and then plugging these guys in place. But we know the reason they did that is to make it resemble the cartoon series, because we saw what they did with Combiner Wars, and frankly, I wasn't that impressed with the Combiner War transformations. Though I will give them credit for still making them so that any part could go to any spot. You know, any arm could become a leg with those ones, like the original toys. These new ones, you can't really do that. And I think actually in a lot of the cases, you can't even really swap like the arms around or the legs around because they're going to be designed specifically to fit that mold, right? But I do want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. I think I already said that once, but all right, I'll say it twice. Maybe someone will actually comment. And if you enjoyed this look at Air Raid, please feel free to raid that like button. And as always, if you want to deal with more of my nonsense, please subscribe. I thank you for watching. Peace and love.